Welcome to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast for women. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created the Positive Growth Doctor after years of dealing with societal expectations, self-doubt, and perfectionism. I leveraged my 30 years of experience as a positive psychologist to address limiting beliefs and gain clarity to build confidence and navigate obstacles to achieve a healthier well-being. I knew that pain all too well, so I empower women to achieve confidence and live a positive-centered life. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. And let's get to it. Welcome to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. When big things happen in life, we sometimes fall into what's called a comparison trap. And it's really uncomfortable, and we start to second guess ourselves when we see others, what they're up to, what they're doing, and how they handle similar situation. A comparison can be healthy, when we give ourselves some grace. That's really important. Also, when we learn from others, because remember, you don't know what you don't know. So when we learn from others and show ourselves some grace, but often that's the case, and we get stuck in our disappointment or how things unfolded. And this might be because we set super high expectation for ourselves, and we're focused more on perfection. Been there, it's never pretty. Our heaviness creates this garden that offers a lot of confusion. And this happens to everyone at some point in their life. Everyone experiences this. So in this episode, we dive deep into the emotional and psychological landscape that shape women's lives and tackle pervasive issue that many women face, the comparison trap, especially when we experience. To find the full transcript for this episode and your favorite podcast app, please share the podcast with other women to help them grow on their journey too. Don't just stop with their friends. Extend your reach out there to other women by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. I appreciate you. So the comparison trap, you probably have heard of it, is a cycle in measuring oneself against the perceived success of others. And notice I said the perceived successes. It's a mental game, where we often feel like we fall short, and it leads to diminished self-esteem and an increase in self-doubt. And that's never good. So for women, we have societal pressures that, and social media, cultural expectations amplify this trend. It can get a common hurdle in personal and professional growth. So whether it's a career achievement, a personal milestone, physical appearance, which is a big one, the constant barrage of perfect images and story can lead to feelings of just inadequacy and frustration, negative thinking, especially during times of that. If only I had, or if only I was, I should have done this, right? All of that stuff. It might not even be a setback. Honestly, I recall being a teenager and, teenagers really like their magazines, or they used to way back in the day, falling for the airbrush perfection. Yes. This is especially hard for young girls. It's just healthy. And it's done on purpose, right? So fast forward like 30, 40 years later, and we live in this time where it's hard to even know what is real and what isn't. That makes it hard. So the comparison trap can have profound on emotional health, leading to anxiety and depression. It's just a sense of unworthiness. It can stifle creativity and hinder your progress. It creates this cycle of negative self talk and those negative thought loops. It impacts our overall well being. Very, very unhealthy. And God has a purpose for every single one of us. And inadequacy, pride, envy is not part of that purpose. It doesn't have a place in our life, a positive one. He doesn't want that for us, and it's not a part of his plan. And I've been meditating on this week, and Galatians 5:26 says that, us not become conceited or provoke one another or be jealous of one another. It goes on in 6:4 to remind us that we need to pay attention to our own work and ourselves, for then you will get satisfaction for the job well done. And you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else. Sounds like some sound advice. So, but we live as human beings, which is anything but perfect. And it's never easy for when life throws you those curveballs. And there will always be curveballs, right? The important thing to remember is that when you catch it, when you reflect on it and realize what is happening, you can move forward and create a space for yourself where you can acknowledge this is a moment in time. This does not define you, right? Here is a breakdown of some strategies that will help you move forward rather than getting stuck in comparison and negative thinking. Self awareness. Recognize the signs that you're falling into the comparison trap. Very powerful, and it's essential, something that you have to do if there's going to be change. So, are you feeling envious or inadequate after you scroll through social media? Understanding those triggers, that is the first step to breaking free. A great way to track some of these triggers is through journaling. And it helps when you're identifying and noticing potential trends in your thinking. Very a big one is shifting your mindset. So reframe set as not as a state, and then kind of get into the negative thought loop. Instead, reframe those sentences. This is hard. I don't like this, but it is a growth opportunity. This is something I can learn. Ask yourself, what can I learn from, this situation? And how can this experience contribute to my personal development? It's natural to have an adverse reaction to what is happening at the time. Shift gears, focus on is on the other side. Let that guide you through all that difficulty associated with the struggle of comparison and what led you down that dark path in the first place. Also, practice gratitude. Focus on your achievement, unique qualities that make you who you are. Gratitude journaling can help you shift your focus and from what you lack to what you have. And that is very powerful. Another way that you can actually practice gratitude is to set a couple of alarms throughout the day on your phone. each day, do a gratitude check. When it's going well today, what am I thankful for today? Or you could even start your day off with it every day. That way it becomes, something that you just do. Look at nature. What can I be thankful for from yesterday? What happened yesterday that I could be thankful for? And the next step would be to set your intention for that current day. I think the intention is really important. Next is limiting your exposure to social media or even media in general. You can curate your social media feed to include more positive, inspiring content that lifts you rather than diminishes your self-worth. I don't want that. And, there's a lot of negative stuff that comes up on my feed. And, you think, how does that happen? They are supposed to know what you like really well, based on their algorithms. But it's stuff that I never asked for and I would never look at. It's not what I want to see. It makes zero sense. They're trying to gauge my interest and perhaps even sway if you think about it. So I hide it and I request not to see those things again. There's no place for it in my life. I don't want it in my life. And you might have some negative friends, that you've known since you were itty bitty, that get sucked into this deep, dark vortex of politics and world chaos and that and the other. You can still be friends, but you can also set your settings so it doesn't engulf your feed. It's not in your face constantly, right? Remember, you are in control of most of these things. Garbage in, garbage out. Feed yourself a healthy diet of what you experience throughout the day. You deserve peace. And the last is to seek support. Surround yourself with a supportive community that encourages growth and celebrates your successes, no matter how small. And we can get rid of jealousy and comparison. We're called to get rid of it, right? For a reason. Instead, focus on building up one another and celebrating those unique talents that God blessed you with. We all have them. That is where true peace lies. I invite you to join the Women Empowerment Group. It's from the Positive Growth Doctor on Facebook. And click the link in the transcript, the Women's Empowerment Group. I hope this helped. And I am so thankful you are here to pour into yourself and know that you are loved. Meet up again next week for another episode.
Thanks for listening to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other women about the podcast. Let's support one another. Find the full transcript for this episode on your favorite podcast app. Watch the podcast on the Positive Growth Doctor YouTube channel and learn more at thepositivegrowthdoctor.com. And be assured, you are not alone on your journey